change the course of history, what would you do? Reflections on changing the course of history are a common sight. People tend to imagine other ways of the sequence of events and predict possible results in different circumstances. They inquire whether particular negative consequences and horrible events could be avoided. Occasionally, people are impressed by the alignment of contingencies that have led to beneficial results and express their versions of probable development. In addition, the predominant number of popular films and movies contain the idea of inventing the time machine to correct someone's mistakes in the past. As for me, if I had the power to change the course of history, I would attempt to prevent World War I due to its senselessness and the significant number of victims from the population. The primary reason for my willingness to avoid this event regards its purposes. As compared to other wars, it has appeared to be one of the most destructive. Furthermore, its negative influence was perceived almost in every country. However, the overall amount of casualties and suffering caused by war seem extremely disproportional when compared with the achieved results. Thus, World War I appears to be one of the most discussed in global historiography since its beginning in July 1914. Nevertheless, it is evident that the plans of governments did not take into consideration the interests of the people, and sacrificing millions of lives was mostly aimed at addressing the imperialistic ambitions of powerful states. In addition, civilians were not aware of the purposes of such a sanguinary battle. Therefore, states neglected the lives of the population to find a solution for their competing economic, political, and colonial interests. This inhuman attitude is appalling, and such an event should never be repeated. Although there are some positive consequences for the country's participants, such as the development of warcraft, the negative ones outweigh them. The war drained the economics and politics significantly in the majority of states. After its ending, a great number of insurrections took place, and the governmental forms were changed revolutionarily. As a result, economic development was delayed for years, which directly impacted the population. All the world was in a Great Depression, and all the spheres of life were affected. Perhaps, I could personally do little to prevent the war. It was a considerable issue for world diplomacy, and, at that moment, the war was the single solution for all the pretensions. However, I strongly believe in diplomatic power, so I would do my best to find the appropriate option in the process of negotiations. There is a possibility that I would become a diplomat and contribute to the pacific settlement of the conflicts. I would also encourage all the state leaders to stick to this method to avoid an appalling number of victims. In summary, my reflections are a figment of the imagination, and they can do nothing to change the situation dramatically. The history of humanity involves both success and failure, and these events should be respected. Although World War I was exceptionally cruel and meaningless to some extent, it was an essential lesson for the entire population. Having struggled with this experience, nowadays, the world community is aware of the necessity to prevent its repetition. Today, world leaders, diplomacy, and organizations of different kinds considerably contribute to supporting comprehensive peace and avoiding the beginning of military conflicts between countries.